Hi, this is Trooper for Strange Star Films. I thought I'd have a bit of a conversation with everybody and try to sort through what's going on here in the world. Nobody's talking about it, no one's saying anything about it. There are people complaining about it, but no one's doing anything about it. So the problem is, I'm planning on moving, and it's going to cost a minimum of 13 to 15,000 just to move 2 provinces over here in Canada. Well, the issue is that any other way would be 20 grand at least to move, for crying out loud. And that's not the only problem. I mean, even if I wanted to move within my own city, the issue is, well, trying to get a place to rent, first off. But let's start at a more obvious point, being that wage increases are happening across Canada, and just before these wage increases happen, months before, you start to notice the rise in cost in everything. Nothing is cheaper. Everything's way more expensive. Well, this goes on and on and on. It's always a fuel problem. It's always food. It's always rent. It's always something. Everything starts to go up. And then the businesses are hurt, and jobs are lost. But thanks to COVID, everything has suffered massively. There's more poverty and more pain and suffering in the world than there's ever been. And I thought it was only businesses or corporations that were capitalizing on this and cornering the market on things and whatnot and making money off of poverty. But it's even worse than that. This is what I've learned. And that's why I'm making this video. Excuse me. So, with the wage increases, ever increasing costs in everything. And they actually increase in cost so much so that your wage increase doesn't compensate for the price increase on every little thing. Nothing goes without costing more. And small businesses end up losing employees because they can't afford to pay them. Prices are too high. People can't buy. It creates more poverty. People are losing their jobs, and people just can't afford to even eat. Now, it's even worse is they can't even afford to live, have a roof over their head, pay their utilities. And any government assisted programs, which they love to come out with, ends up costing taxpayers even more. So taxes go up, everything goes up, prices are going up, and then their wage increase comes out, and it's still not enough. It used to be a full-time person, working person on a minimum wage job could afford to pay their rent, plate their car, buy their food, buy their groceries, and yes, they would have to live paycheck to paycheck, but they could live. You can't do that today. It's just impossible. Nowhere in Canada can you live and pay your rent on a minimum wage paying job anymore. So, let's see here. Yeah. Excuse me. So, as I was checking into this and I'm planning my move, I'm realizing that, well, when the wage increase happens, it's not even going to equal the rise in costs in everything. You're actually making less with a wage increase because of the rise in cost. So how do you survive that? Well, you can't. The government wants you to rely on them. And then they end up feeding the rich and the upper middle class, and the middle class to the lower class end up suffering homeless, jobless. The system wants you to be able to have access to networks, how to use a network, how to use a computer, a laptop, have a cell phone, anything like that. Access to everything, in which you really do not have access to everything. It's a bold-faced lie. So, well, let me get to my point. I tried applying for places for the last 2 weeks. I'm trying to move from Saskatchewan to Ontario, where I used to live. Now, every place that's for rent is being handled by pop-up realtor companies, privatized realtor companies, or actual realtor companies. And the issue is that you can't rent a place now based on, well, first, rents have gone up anywhere from $500 to $2,000 a month for a simple place to live, a low-end, crappy place to live. And if you want anything just even slightly better, good luck. It's just not going to happen. So, let's see. Well, I'm a licensed mechanic. My brother's head of maintenance, and my father's retired. Together, we can afford a good place. But here's the issue: you can't rent a place anymore without having to have a credit report or credit anything. If you don't have that, they won't rent to you. And 80% of the population can't do that, can't do this credit report, pay for credit reports, have access to network, have a knowledge base of how to do it. Even if they could get the knowledge base, the cost to be afforded for this is ridiculous. On top of the fact that it used to be, you used to have a damage deposit, $200 or $300, and you could put that down and then pay your rent, and then you could move in. Then it went up. Then they wanted something like half of whatever your rent is down, and then your rent as your first and last month. Then damage deposit disappeared, and then it became first and last month's rent. With the ever-increasing cost in rents, I was looking at a 3-bedroom for my elderly father and my brother and I, because we take care of him. And it starts at $2,200 to $3,800 a month. Okay, that's bad enough as it is. But let alone they want first and last months. So you're looking at twice your rent up front. And that's the way it used to be. Here's the new one. Now realtor companies, these pop-up realtor companies, they're making a fair penny off of not only the people who want to rent the places, but for themselves as well. And what they're doing is they're saying, well, I can get you the place if you do more than your first and last month's rent. If you could add another month or two's rent on top of the first and last month's rent, I'm pretty much guaranteeing you'll get the place. Now that's what's going on. All these places like Royal, whatever, and all the companies, they're all out there like crazy, just scamming and ripping people off, trying to apparently corner only those who have a credit rating. See, we all work in my family, we make good money, we live, but we don't believe in using credit for anything. We pay. That's how we deal with things. Cash is always best. Owing does not work, because it's always a way to lose it later if something goes wrong. And with COVID, the ever-increasing costs of everything, with the lower wages and everything else, I mean, it gets easier and easier and easier with credit to get screwed over. People are also cornering that market and making billions of dollars off you every year. So I tried to contact this realtor, and he says to me, oh, well, okay, you got first and last months. I'm like, yeah, we got the $4,800 you need. And he says, well, if you could give me another month or two's worth of rent on top of that, I'm pretty sure I can get you, the owners of this place will rent the place to you. And, because you don't have actual credit, that I can guarantee you'll get it, kind of thing. And I'm like, look, dude, it's going to cost $5 to $10 just to move down there. And we're still throwing $4,800 for first and last month's rent. We still have to get set up, hook up all the utilities, everything we need, at transfer license plates, get cars safety and everything set up. I mean, the cost alone there is sky high as well. And they want and try to convince you to pay extra money so that you will guarantee me a place to live. You can't even get cheap ass apartments anymore. A 1 bedroom apartment, $2,000. $2,000. And then they want first and last month $4,000 to guarantee you the place so you have a place to move to. They want another month or two on top of that. You're looking at $6,000 to $8,000 in order to guarantee yourself a home to live in. Who has that kind of money? What system is authorizing this to happen? They're ripping people off. And who's to say that you don't move down there and get all this, and then they just decide, well, because now we want more money, we're going to threaten to kick you out because we can come up with anything we want to get rid of you. And they really can. That's what you're not getting. You think you got protection, but you don't. They can come up with any single solitary reason as to what's going on and why they need to get rid of you. And the most commonplace thing is the home needs some sort of renovation and they can't have tenants living in it at the time. You really, really, really need to fight your system, talk to your governments, talk to whoever it is, your constituency, anybody, and start fighting back against the system. The cost of living is horrible. Rents are 10 times worse than they've ever been. Wage increases don't mean a damn thing. You're just getting ripped off. The wage increase doesn't even support the cost of living. It actually makes it worse because people are losing their jobs. Companies can't pay their employees based on a wage increase. The increasing costs of everything else means they're not selling that much. I mean, it's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. Why don't they just make minimum wage $1 an hour and make everything cost equal to that of what your minimum wage is, full-time hours every 2 weeks per month? So that way everybody can afford to have a home to live in and food to eat, bills paid, a car to drive. I mean, they don't do that because they're not making money that way. They need to scam you into buying things and shopping for things you don't need. And needing a home to live in is it's a necessity. A necessity. You need this, but you can't have it. You can't have it because the ever-increasing greed that's going on with these pop-up realtor companies and all these owners of these houses. Properties are being bought up by all these new ethnic groups, and what they're doing is they're taking a crappy, shitty home, they're dumping a few $1,000s into it to make it livable, and then they're turning around. They're either selling that house for 5 times what it's worth, or they're renting it out for 4 times what the rent should be. Now, this is absolutely ridiculous, and I don't support this whatsoever, and I really believe people need to watch this, listen carefully, and come up and theorize on your own as to what's going on. Talk about it with other people. Talk about it with your representatives, anybody. Find out how we can work against this robbery. This is bold-face, in your face, robbery. They're taking your money. They know you can't afford it. They're holding you down. You're becoming a slave to a system that doesn't support you whatsoever. You really need to back things up. I mean, telling me I can't rent a place when I can afford it, even though I can just barely afford it, because I'm not going to pay another 1 or 2 more months on top of my rent for first and last months. Like anybody has that kind of money to throw at somebody just so you can get a proper home to live with your elderly disabled father and your brother, and to be able to live in a place that you want to live in and you're really happy in life. You can't do that now. Now you have to find some little hobble somewhere where my brother and I would have to share a bedroom and my dad would have a crappy little den to live in off the side of inside the place, and we would have the crappiest appliances, everything, and we would barely be able to afford to live in that setup. I mean, people need to stand up and realize what's going on. And if you're out there and you know what I'm talking about, you've been down this road, you're trying to rent, and they're telling you, oh, well, I talked to them and they're saying that if you can give me another 1 month, 2 months, towards your lease, pay off more of your lease in full, because that's what they want you to do, pay your lease off. So at the end of your lease, they can kick you out and get somebody new in there, because prices are going to change, they're going to go up, everything's going to happen within a year, and that's what's been going on since COVID. Everything. is changed. You are being robbed, lied to. It's ridiculous. Don't stand for it. I don't know what else I can really say. I had a whole lot to say when I started this. I didn't I didn't know I'm just doing this on the fly, so I thought I'd just make this little video, throw it out there, and let you people decide. This is a completely screwed up system. Since COVID, governments, government officials, law enforcement, literally, your realtor companies, you name it, landlords are now consigning their houses, their apartment buildings over to real estate companies so that they can overcharge you to pay the leasing company or realtor company and make more money themselves on a property that isn't even close to worth what they're trying to rent it to you for. So please share and like this video, get the news out, get people talking. Something has to be done about this corrupt system. Thank you. I am a trooper for Stream Star Films. I hope you enjoyed the video.